Let's talk about Spiral from the Book of Saw, but I think I'm going to need a little bit of help with this one. So what I've had to do, I've drafted in a Saw aficionado, but not only that, it's a guy who's been helping us out with some editing on the channel and plenty of videos coming out in the future, and an old buddy, old pal. For the first time on Unleash the Ghouls, it's Hugh.
Hello, mate. How's it going?
It's good. Really good. I never thought I would ever get an opportunity for you to have your voice in Unleash the Ghouls.
I've been waiting for this moment for about 2 years. I think September 2020 is when the first video went up.
Ah, you've been doing your research, have you? Of course, what we've known for a very, very long time, because we've been friends for many years, is that your favourite horror film ever made is Saw. When it comes to Spiral, we're going to have a little discussion. Hugh, take it away. Right, that's our honest review. Cheers, Hugh.
I'm off. It's been a pleasure. See you later. Right, Spiral. Basically, you've got Chris Rock, Detective Zeke Banks, and he's assigned a case to catch a serial killer who acts a lot like, your classic John Kramer. It's just a cop drama, really. It could be Bergerac, it could be The Bill. Yeah, strange casting, I thought. Chris Rock just being Chris Rock. Maybe Will Smith saw this film and that's the reason why he slapped him. I don't know.
And you've not only got Chris Rock, but he's fucking is Nick Fury. Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, using all of his experience from 1408 as the butler or whatever. Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson in a horror film. It's never worked for me before, and it still hasn't, to be honest. I think probably the worst choice in the whole casting was Detective William Schenck. He was the bully in The Social Network, and... and The Internship. He's not, spoiler alert, a serial killer. He looks like a junior doctor from Casualty. It's just shocking. I mean, what did you think of the casting?
I mean, when you've got Chris Rock having a comedic conversation spoiling the entire plot of Forrest Gump, followed by, yeah, pussy, ass, tits, yeah, drugs, fucking cocaine. I'm like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
This is such a detachment from anything that's come before it. I mean, there's only, like 4 proper traps in it?
Yeah.
Maybe 5?
The opening scene, mate, the first trap with Detective Boswick. Couple of things with this trap, mate. First of all, I want to get your opinion. What do you think of the first trap in the film?
Right, Boz is hanging suspended by this device that's got his tongue in a vice, almost like a tiny little guillotine, right? Now, first off, this is the longest tongue I've ever seen. You don't... It's like a camel. Like, it's fucking... He can brush the back of his head, you know what I mean? It's fucking ridiculous. The vice that he's got around the tongue is like dug into the flesh. You can see it's bleeding. So all he's got to do is, as he's told by what we'll get onto in a second, the voice, is he needs to jump off the chair or ladder or whatever. That'll sever the tongue and then he can get away scot-free,
yeah.
Right? When he finally makes the choice to jump, bearing in mind there's an oncoming train at high speed, he does jump and then gets hit by the train, of course. That would mean, in theory, that that'll sever the end of his tongue. It's still there. It's just the whole tongue's been knocked out of his head. So why is the tip of the tongue still hanging?
Yeah, all sorts of continuity errors, I think, in this. He starts off unconscious. How has he not fallen off?
There's been a lot of faith in this ladder.
Yes, when he's unconscious, is his body as stiff as a rake to not fall off this ladder? Couple of other things I want to delve into with this trap, right? Oh, man. Right, explain these to us. Why is the TV on a slant? Why don't they either get a step ladder or some kind of table, right? Carry it down there, like rate my takeaway. Put the table out, right? Pop the telly on it so we can see it properly. Another thing, why is it an old box TV that they're using?
Do you think that he's just shopping round for fucking flats?
Right, he's going to have to go to every cash converter in the country to try and find someone who's traded that in from the 90s. Where's he getting this box TV from? Why can't you just get, a nice OLED? They're fairly cheap now, the 43-inch 4Ks. Just give the guy a chance.
Hugh, when you think of John Kramer, give us a couple of bars of John Kramer. What sort of voice you'd expect to intimidate his victims?
Do you want to play a game?
There we go. Very threatening. You fucking got my back up. Now give us a little rendition of Spiral's Jigsaw Killer.
Dr. Gordon.
Hello, Detective Fitch, Captain Garza, Detective Banks. Your finger pulled the trigger, and that cannot happen again.
I can't do it. It sounds like a cross between Stephen Hawking and Kermit the Frog. It's absolutely terrible, mate. How are you coming up with that as your ominous voice to deliver the instructions of a trap? And who's doing the quality control on this film and is saying, yep, that's the one. That's really giving me shivers.
I think some of the traps are just really poorly handled. So the second trap doesn't happen for probably like another, half an hour, 40 minutes? It starts off and you've got Detective Fitch, who's like another one of the dirty cops.
Yep.
And he's been put in this trap with these sort of metallic cables attached to his fingers. And then you don't see what happens for about 15-20 minutes after that as well.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Completely lost the momentum.
I actually think that the revelations that you get in like the final twist, because of course every Saw's got to have a big twist at the end, I think the motivations are actually quite decent, but they would work better as just its own film rather than throwing in the Saw name and all the traps.
Yeah.
Because what we like ultimately learn is that Fitch and Boz and several others are all in some way dirty cops, and the reason that the killer is going around picking off these dirty cops is because when he was a kid, his dad was killed by Zeke's old partner. But I don't get why he's getting a bit of revenge on Zeke, because Zeke turned the dirty cop in to the police.
Yeah.
He's done the killer a favour there.
Yeah, and on that note, let's just talk about the traps, mate. Fire us away.
The finger trap, all he has to do is bite down on the vice thing in his mouth. For some reason, the killer likes vices. He bites down on it, and that drags his fingers closer to being ripped off. And at the point the fingers are ripped off, he can get out of this tank of water that he's lying in with some copper wire there. And then when the water hits the copper wire, it'll electrocute him. Immediately, as soon as the trap begins, bites down, takes his teeth off for maybe 5 seconds, and he's still nowhere near getting out.
Yeah, it seems unfair.
You either sit there and wait and die, or you suffer and live. Here, it's like, if you suffer, you still die anyway.
Yeah.
The next one, I think, might be the most unfair. Angie's trap. She's fucking lying on a desk with basically a waterboard of hot wax going over her face, and she has to sever her spinal cord.
Yeah, it was a trap of two halves for me, this one.
Well, she nearly was in two halves, but
She was well thought out to a degree, but the way to get out the trap, as you've said, was just daft. Could have been better. Let's get on to the glass bottle one, mate.
I think it's just a bit stupid and over the top. This guy hanging from chains from the ceiling. Pete, I think it's Pete.
Yeah.
It's just a never-ending stream of bottles being put in a mincer and just shards of glass fired into his back. That's literally all it is. And all fucking Zeke has to do is go and get a key, which is just under a bin in the corner of the room.
Way over elaborate. Yeah, I mean, again, it was brutal, and that's probably what they were going for, but it was just over engineered.
Yeah, I agree. And when we getting into our sort of fifth and final trap of the film, Sam Jackson, right? Marcus Banks, he is.
He's told that he has to shoot this target to release his dad. It's like he's at the fair.
Yeah.
It's just comical. It's strange. But also, he says, you either shoot me or you shoot the target and you get your dad down or whatever. He says, either way, I've got a foolproof plan to get out of here. The way he gets out of there is not foolproof.
No, it's not.
He gets in the lift and then somehow gets away without the SWAT team who are right in front of him turning and shooting him.
Yeah. What's the point of that? Because like Marcus gets shot because he like by shooting the trap, he drops to the ground, but then is propelled up like a puppet. Has some sort of Terminator-esque gun, as if he's going to shoot.
I think you're right. And something else that really sort of got us sort of googling on the spot. Chris Rock says John Kramer didn't target cops.
There's many policemen die in the Saw franchise.
Let's break this down, right? He stabs Detective Tapp in the throat. He led Detective Singh into into a shotgun trap. In Saw 2, he put Detective Matthews' son in a gas house, then kept him in a safe for hours on end. He led Detective Matthews into the bathroom, kept him captive all the way through into the Saw 4 film with the help of Amanda before he was crushed between two giant blocks of ice. Right. He obliterated Detective Gibson with a sentry turret in Saw 3D. It was Hoffman who did that, but Hoffman was his accomplice, so he's indirectly responsible for it.
So therefore, John Kramer
Is a murderer of cops.
So overall, this film just tried to reignite the Saw franchise, but if anything, it just slapped that little bit of flame between two giant blocks of ice.
Had a lot to live up to. It was going to be heavily critiqued, fairly, but yeah, it was a couple of good scenes in it, some good traps which were poorly executed, some nice little nods in there to original Saw characters, but overall it just missed the mark, mate.
Yeah, I agree. Bizarrely casted in a couple of roles, probably would have just worked better as a standalone police drama.
Yeah,
it wasn't as bad as our original watch of it, I don't think.
No, and I wouldn't say it's a bad film, to be honest.
It's just a bad Saw film.
Yeah, I think in terms of horror, it's bang average, but in terms of a Saw film, it's diabolical.
Yes, and if you like things that don't really leave a long-lasting impression on you, you can catch us again every single week, which I'm sure Hugh will be a part of. Would you like to come back for more, good sir?
Oh, I can't wait, mate. I've really enjoyed it, and it's been a pleasure to be invited on board to discuss this absolute travesty.
Fantastic. Well, if you'd like to see more of Hugh, well, you can get notified of his presence by clicking the bell down below, as well as the subscribe button while you're there. You can also comment on what you thought of Spiral, what you thought of the other Saw movies in particular. I'm sure we are not done with this franchise whatsoever, as long as Hugh's a part of the Ghouls. But thanks for coming in, mate, and we'll see you next time on the channel. Don't know when it'll be. You'll find out if you've got the notification bell on, won't you, you knob?
Stay tuned.
See you around.